Hello everyone again, this is Randy from Programmer Zen. I hope everybody is doing well. Today we are going to finish up our arithmetic parsing series, and we are going to make a front end for a calculator. So when we're all done, you're going to have a fully functional calculator that you can tailor however you would like and make it a custom calculator that you can call your own. So before we jump into writing code, let's do a demo and see what this is all about. Let's do 2 plus 3 times 5. If you do the 3 times 5 first, that should equal 17. Let's do memory store. Let's do an all clear. Let's do 5 plus memory recall equals. Let's do memory clear. Let's do a parenthesis. Let's do 2 plus 5 times 3. That should be 21. So it's working. Okay, so let's get started. I got Xcode all fired up. We're going to create a new project. It's going to be an app. We are going to call it Swift UI Calculator. You can insert your own team and your own identifier. And it's going to be a Swift UI, and the language is going to be Swift. We don't need a Git repository. You can put it wherever you want to. I put mine in projects. So let's create it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create our folders. We're going to say new folder, and we're going to have views. A new folder, we're going to have models, view models, and the data structure. And we're going to put the content view in the views, and we'll create the rest. So the meat of the calculator engine is the parser, and we've already done that. So let's take what we did in the last video and let's just copy everything over. Here's the data structure is the stack, the model is the node, the view model is our view model, and we had a separate directory for the parser. So let's go ahead and say new folder. We're going to call it parser, and let's copy the parser over. The calculator buttons are going to be made using an enum. We're going to have an enum, we're going to call it calc button, and it's going to be of type string. And we're going to have one case for each button. So the first one is going to be case 1. And we're going to have 1 through 9 and case 0. And we're going to need add, subtract, multiply, and divide. We're going to need a decimal, an equals, and a clear. We need an open paren, a closed paren, and an exponent. Now we're going to need a backspace, a memory store, a memory clear, and a memory recall. Backspace, memory store, memory clear, memory recall. So the backspace is not going to have any text. It's going to be an image. So it's going to be blank. And then we have a mem store. An M clear. And an M recall. These are going to be for saving our answers to the internal memory of the calculator. M store, M clear, M recall. All right, next what we're going to do is we're going to add a property for the button color. So we're going to say var button color, and it's going to return a color. And so what we're going to do is it's going to be switch self. Now since each button is basically an enum, self is going to be the button itself. So we're going to say case.add, .subtract, .multiply, and .divide. And the last one is .equals. And I believe I defined it as equal up top. I'm going to make it equals because I have a hard time saying equal. It's going to return orange. So let's go make this equal equals. So switch must be exhaustive. Can't find orange. How about dot orange? And then we're going to the memory buttons. We're going to say dot M clear, dot M recall, dot M store, and dot backspace. We're going to return a custom color, and it's going to be RGB 128, 128, 128. So it's going to say that's going to be a gray, red, and you got to divide it by 256 because Swift wants it to be a number between 0 and 1. And blue is going to be 128 divided by 256. And then the default is going to be black. So it's going to be the same as this. So white would be 255, 255, 255. Gray is going to be 128, 128, 128. We're going to cut this in half again, make it a little bit darker, and that'll be our button colors. And this should be 256.0. That's a divide by 0 right there. That's an accident just waiting to happen. And the last one we got to do is the button image, and it's only going to be for the backspace. So we're going to say var button image. It's going to return a string. So it's going to say button image, return a string. It doesn't have to be optional. It's going to return a value, and it's not going to return nil. It's going to return an empty string. And it's going to be delete dot backward. So now what we got to do is declare our array of buttons. So we're going to say let buttons. It's going to be an array. It's going to be a two-dimensional array. It's going to be an array of 4 by 6, and it's going to be calc buttons, and it's going to equal, and it's going to look like this. It's going to have a clear, mem store, mem recall, and the next one's going to have an open paren, close paren, exponent divide. Then it's going to have 7, 8, 9 multiply, 4, 5, 6 subtract, 1, 2, 3 add, backspace 0 decimal equals. All right, so let's implement this. Cannot find calc buttons. Yes, the enum is just for one button. Cannot assign to immutable. Oh, let buttons. Here's how now it's declared. All right, let's do each row. The first row, the first one is dot clear, and then we have dot m clear, and then we have dot m store, and then we have dot m recall. That's the first row. The next row is going to have a dot open paren, a dot close paren, a dot exponent, and dot divide. There's that row. The next row is going to have dot 7, dot 8, dot 9, and dot multiply. There's that row. The next row is going to have dot 4, dot 5, dot 6, and dot subtract. There's that row. The next row is going to have dot 1, dot 2, dot 3, and dot add. There's that row, and the last row is going to have dot backspace, dot 0, dot decimal, and dot equals. And there is our button array. All right, now that we got the enums done, let's start working on the view. So the first thing we're going to do, let's give us a little room over here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the body here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to do a z-stack and make the background for the calculator. So the z-stack is going to have a color, dot black, and we're going to ignore the safe area. Edges ignore safe area dot all. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put a v-stack right on top of it for the rest of it. So we have a black background. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to have 3 h-stacks. The first one is going to be for the memory store, and it's going to be when we store a result in memory, it's going to be in the upper left-hand corner. The next one's going to be the last result. So we're going to see the expression that we parse, so we'll be able to see the expression and the answer. And then the last one's going to be the result. So this h-stack, it's going to have a text, and it's going to be our view model dot memory store. And it's going to have a font. It's going to be 32. We're going to give it a weight of bold, dot bold, and the design is going to be the default. It's going to be system size 32. Okay, and it's going to have a foreground color, and it's going to be dot white. So the text is going to be white, and it's going to have comma 32. So there's that. Now we also want to put a spacer in here, because we want to move this to the left. It doesn't like that. We don't have a view model yet. Let's go ahead and add that. So we're going to say at state object. It's going to be var private. View model is going to be a view model. So it likes that. It's going to be memory store. So let's go to our view model and add that. Okay, in our previous one, we called this status for the unbalanced parentheses and any error messages. We're going to call it result here, because you're going to have the calculator calc something. It's going to give you the result. We're going to have 2 more. You're going to have memory store, and we're going to have last expression. Let's go ahead and give these values. This is going to be 5. Memory store is going to be 5. And the last expression is going to be 2 plus 3. So we'll see something on the screen when we do this. Let's go back to the content view. So now the second one is pretty much going to be this, but it's going to be last expression. It's going to have a spacer. All right, now between the memory store and the last expression, I want a spacer, but the rest of them, I just want to add padding to the 8 stack. So there's going to be a padding between the last expression and the result, and we're going to have a padding between the result and the buttons. So the last one is going to be the same, except for this is going to be result. And I want the spacer, I want the space to be on the left, so we're going to add that first. So there's our result side of the calculator. I got this wrong. It's private var. Oh, I got view model. And it's view model. Oh, that's what it is. This is declared in the wrong spot. And this needs to be right here. That's the way it's supposed to look. And this is dot system. This is dot default. Having a hard time spelling today. Padding. Dot system. I did that all the way down. I should have checked it before I cut and pasted it. Okay, looks like we got it. 2 plus 3, 5, 5. Just for now, let's go ahead and add a spacer here to move everything up. That's going to change. All right. Okay, we're ready to start doing the buttons, but before we do, I want to show you what we're going to do. We're going to have 2 for each statements. The first for each is going to say for each buttons row in, and we're going to get a row. And then we're going to have another for each, and it's going to say for row in for each, and you're going to get each button. So we're going to have a for each, and we're going to create an H stack, where it's going to create all the buttons, and inside that H stack, we're going to have another for each that's going to get each button from the row, and we're going to print a button. That's simple. So let's get started. So right here, we're going to say for each, and we're going to say buttons, and for the for each needs an ID. And there's 2 ways to do that. You can either implement a class that implements the identifiable protocol, but we don't have that. And if it's a very simple one like an array or a string, you can just pass it the element itself. So we're going to pass it .self, and it'll create one for you. It'll create an ID for you. That's what we're going to do, and that'll allow us to do the for each. So we're going to say row in, and that's going to get us the first dimensional row that's going to have 4 buttons, and we're going to make an H stack. So this H stack is going to print out a row of buttons. So inside that H stack, we got to get the row of buttons. So we're going to say for each. We're going to say row. We need to get the ID again. And we're going to say button. This is going to give us one button. Button in. And we're going to create a button. So we're going to say button, action. And it's going to be process tap, but we haven't done that yet. And we're going to pass in a button. So we're going to comment this out. And then we're going to have a label. And we're going to have a text. And it's going to be button.rawValue. Now the raw value is the string that we created the enum with. All right, I missed an open bracket. There's the for each needs a open bracket. And since I missed that one there, there's where the button ends. So let's add it here. And I did a bad comment. It should have been like that. And I believe we're good. All right, I got my preview started. I'm seeing buttons, but we need to format them a little bit. So let's give it a foreground color. And we're going to be dot white. Let's give it a font. We're going to do large title. All right, let's give it a frame. Now the frame, the width is going to be based on the size of your device. So however wide it is, and we know there's 4 buttons, we're going to divide it into equal sizes. So we're going to use the width. We're going to make a function called button width, which we'll implement, and the height is going to be a constant. The height is going to be 60. Let's go ahead and make the button width. So the button width, the UI screen main.bounds is going to give you the size of your device. So the width is the width of your device. What we're going to do is we know there's 4 rows, so we're going to give it a padding of 64 and divide that by 4, and that's going to be the width size for each button. So we're going to have button width, and it's capital W. There's the button width. So there, that's how it sizes. So that gives it a little spacer. It's going to be 60. Now we're going to give the button a color, and the background is going to be button color, and then we're going to give it a radius to make them rounded. It's going to be the button width divided by 2. So there we go. Now the only thing we're missing now is the image for the backspace. So we're going to say image. This is only going to affect the backspace button, and it's going to have a system name. It's going to be button image. But we got to give it a color. So we're going to say foreground color is white, and the font, which is going to determine the size of system images, is going to be, we know the button is 60, I'm going to make it 42. Now notice how the button and the backspace image is horizontally. The reason it's doing that is because the last container is an 8-stack. So what we got to do is make sure they're on top of each other. Is for the label, we got to put it in a Z-stack. When we put it in a Z-stack, all these views will go on top of each other. And there we go. Now the first thing I'm noticing here is that the all clear is black and it's supposed to be gray. So it's going to the default. It's supposed to be gray. We need to add it right here. Dot clear. There it goes. All right, now we're ready to process the buttons. We have our calculator, but none of the buttons are working. So let's write the process tap function, and we'll have our calculator functioning like it should. Process tap. It's going to pass in a calc button. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to see what button was pressed. We're going to say let button press equal button dot raw value. So button press now has the raw value. It's the same string that's on the keys, and we're going to check them now. So what we're going to say, if button press equals the equal sign, that means we typed in an expression, we say equals, we're going to say viewModel.parse, and it's going to be expression, and the string is going to be viewModel.result. Else, if button press equals MS, which is memory store, we're going to say viewModel.memoryStore equals viewModel.result. Else, if button press equals, we're going to do the empty string. Now, if you remember, the empty string is the backspace. That's not very readable, so we're going to do something about that. But what we're going to do is we're going to say if viewModel.result.count is less than 2, that means result is either 1 or 0 characters. And so if it's 1 or if it's empty, you want to just replace it with a 0. So if it's got 1 character and you hit the backspace, you're going to erase the only character and you're going to replace it with 0. So we're going to say viewModel.result equals 0. And if it's greater than 2, or 2 or greater, we're going to say viewModel. result dot pop last, and that's going to get rid of the last character in the string. So if you have 1, 2, 3, pop last will get rid of the 3, and that's what you want for the backspace. So then we're going to say else if button press equals all clear, view model dot result equals empty string, and also view model dot last expression equals empty string. Else if button press equals memory clear, then view model dot memory store equals empty string. Else if button press equals memory call. So if it's 0, if view model dot result equals 0, then we're going to replace 0 with what's in the memory store. View model dot result equals view model dot memory store. Let's give us a little more room here. Let's see, what's it complain about? I think that's everything. We got an extra one here. So view model equals 0, view model dot result equals what's in memory store, and if it's not 0, then we're going to say view model dot result plus equals view model dot memory store. Else if view model equals 0, then we're going to replace the 0 with the button press. If view model dot result equals 0, then we're going to replace the 0 with the button press. This is result. So we're going to say view model dot result equals button press. Else view model dot result plus equals button press. I got a little error here. If view model equals 0, view model else it plus equals, and I believe, let me clean up this. All right, and this all clear, the result goes to 0, and the last expression gets cleared. And the other thing I want to do is this backspace. This is definitely not readable. If button press is blank, People have no idea what that is, especially if you come back, let's say a couple months from now to fix something. You won't remember what that is. So we're going to define backspace. For now, I'm going to put it up here globally because it's going to get refactored. And when it gets refactored, we'll fix it. So we're going to let backspace equal that. The only other thing we got to do is uncomment the process button. And I think we're good to go. Let's run it. All right, we should have got the last expression. Let's go see why. I got a feeling the view model didn't get updated. Yeah, we have to save the last expression. So the last expression equals expression. Okay, let's do it again. Let's store that in memory. That's 10, all clear. Let's say 5 plus memory recall. Is that a plus? That's a times, I think. That's a times 50. So it looks like it's working. Let's backspace. All right, let's go 2 plus 3 times 5. 25, that's right. So it looks like it's working. All right, now that this is finished, I'm going to do a little bit of refactoring. We have this enum should be a model. We've got some functions that should go to the view model. So let's go ahead and do that. The first thing I want to do is in the model, I want to create calc button. It's going to be called calc button. And let's go to the content view. I'm going to go ahead and put this backspace in it also. And that's global. Globals usually aren't very good, but it's one button. I'm not worried about it. You can move it if you'd like. Can't find color. We need import Swift UI. And now what we want to do is we want to move the functions to the view model and then resolve them. Everywhere we call view model in here, we're not going to need to because it's going to be in the view model. All right, so we're going to get rid of view model everywhere. And then the last thing we got to do is where we call process tap. It's going to be view model process tap. Right here, it's going to be view model. So there we go. We now have a fully functioning parsing routine that you can use in any of your applications, and a fully functional calculator that you can tailor to whatever you want. You can add any functions you need. The sky's the limit. Let's say you want to add how to calculate interest rates. You can do that with this calculator. So I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any more updates. And until my next video, happy computing.